everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. Welcome, everybody. For those who may be dropping in for the first time, welcome. For those of you, me, when the other channel was up, those who have been with me for the past 10 years as we evolved into where we are now, thanks for being along for the ride. I have made it my intent uh, as long as I've been doing things on YouTube, 10 years. Um, and eventually we got to where we were really getting the other channel on the move. And it got snatched. I'm not surprised. I understand how the game is played. We have to be more prepared and we have to do a better job of owning the platforms from which we are speaking when what we are speaking is diametrically opposed to the status quo. End of discussion as far as that is concerned. I'm here today to talk about some unwarranted or unprovoked attacks, if you want to call them that. And I'm going to use them as teaching moments. So it's not really addressing the people who did it because I've blocked them from being able to comment and participate. I'm pretty sure they can see it if they want to. But I want to talk about some direct attacks that I took on a video I shared of my wife yesterday, speaking up on how I love her. And actually, what it was simply I'm still in the process of moving videos that were on the other channel that I actually saved because I uploaded them. Lives I've lost because I didn't back up my live. So everything I did live, unless I downloaded it to put it somewhere else, I won't have it on a backup drive, external drive, or anything like that. But I have a lot of stuff that I had on the other channel that I've been getting up systematically whenever I have time, upload a couple and keep moving and come back, upload a couple until I finally get it all up. And I saw that, and it really speaks to what's at the heart of my passion, and that's Black men loving Black women and Black women loving Black men, the restoration of the Black family, because of the importance it plays in the role of teaching our values, interests, and principles to our progeny in a way that it's instilled in their minds before they're ever exposed to the opposition and the reverse narrative of who we really are. You want to already have those values, those interests, and those principles taught in inculcated into their psyche. That starts in the home, and it is best accomplished with both parents in the home, with positive male energy and positive female energy, masculine and femininity coming together to create synergy that works. And so it's at the heart of my passion, and I shared it because I thought it would be a good place because I've been talking about it a lot. It was just my wife. You want to see it? I think it's the video before this one, if I'm not mistaken. If you want to see it, it's right there. It's a short video. She did it. She was on her way to do some volunteer work, and basically in the car before she got out, she did a video. I shared it on the other channel, and I just took it and I was transferring it over to this channel, not really thinking that much about it. Got some positive feedback from it. Some, people, big upping how she was loving on me and everything like that. Had a couple of guys. It's always guys, it seems, in this area came on and and basically went after her and me, basically saying everything from um, what does she bring to the table, as if she didn't mention at the beginning of the video that I'm always celebrating and loving on her and talking about how awesome she is. So she decided to do a video to celebrate me, which says that she brings something to the table, but they took that as a chance. Basically, uh, it's always it's female worship. It's this, and she's a, just, I mean, just basically attacking the idea that my wife is celebrating me or that I celebrate my wife, and that there's a weakness in a Black man just coming to. I was even on on this attack, and I left him up. I think the guy came back and actually took one down, but he called me Captain Save a Ho because when I married my wife had children. Matter of fact, when I married my wife had 6 kids. I had 7. and we blended our families, and we love our family, and we're doing fine. I treat her kids as if they were mine. I don't treat them any differently. She does the same. That's the way we get down. That's the way I love her. That's the way that my great grandmother taught me, who reared me, taught me to love. And so I have no shame in it, but I want to talk about it. I'm not going to spend much time on rebutting the attacks because I think that it points to a bigger problem. I want to talk about the bigger problem. When you got men that can't see the value in loving a woman, that can find everything wrong with the woman and blame all the problems uh, on women. I'm real big that leadership comes with a certain level of responsibility that extends beyond what is normal. When you are claiming to be a king, when you are claiming to be the head of the house, when you are claiming to be a leader in the community, there's a responsibility to have accountability for what happens under your leadership. I'll give you a prime example for those of you who pay attention to sports. It's the players that are on the field playing, but who's the first one to get fired if there's not any winning happening? It's the coach. Why? The coach is the leader. The coach is supposed to be able to take what is there, the potential, and get the most out of the potential. Now, there are a lot of other moving parts, and everybody needs to be held accountable. A player can be cut if they're not producing, but at the end of the day, if they're not winning, it's going to be the coach who's held accountable. CEOs will get fired when the company is not producing at the level it's supposed to be producing. And they're probably not doing any of the actual work outside of pulling everybody together and using the resources they have below them to implement programs, concepts, ideas, and philosophies that will take the company to the next level. They are leading, and it will depend on their leadership skills, their leadership model, their leadership capabilities of whether the company goes where the board of directors want it to go. And so it's the leader who's responsible. So when you have a bunch of failures in the community, you turn to the leadership. It's easy to point the finger at the women. And don't get me wrong, I am also more than willing to hold our women accountable for the things that they do that are out of line, that are not right. And I've done it. And I've done it from a platform to where I can be respected because I've gone to bat for them. I've gone to war for them. I stand for them. I believe in protecting our women. I believe we treat our women the way we want our women to carry themselves, not necessarily the way they are carrying themselves at any given time. I acknowledge that the vast majority of our women are holding themselves in a very high standard, but the media loves to present and perpetuate an image of a certain type of black woman that is not in any way representative of the whole. And we like to respond on that as men and use that particular image to justify our hostility towards our women. When I started talking to you about this years ago, before Marion and I got married, I told you that my goal was going to be to find the woman that was meant for me. And no matter what she was at the time, I was going to love her back to life. And that black men were going to have to find a way to love our women back to life, not just our mates, not just our daughters, not just our sisters, but black women in general. We were going to have to develop a mindset that we were willing to go out and stand up and be everything that we should be for our women, that we were going to make them feel protected, to feel safe, to understand that if we're there, nothing's going to happen to them. Not because you're my woman. I don't have to know you. If you're a black woman in a space and you come under attack as a black man, I'm going to defend you. That is what we have to be in a position to do. See, I don't claim to have all the answers as far as manhood. I don't claim to have all the answers as far as being a husband. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I have a lot of experience. It's a part of my expertise, but I don't know it all. But what I can tell you is historically, people can only get as high as their women lift them spiritually and as far as their men lead them physically. And if we don't have the capacity to work together, we can talk black group economics till we're blue in the face. We can talk proper holistic education of our youth until we have no breath left. We can talk about reducing the recidivism rate. We can talk about the building of what generational wealth. We can do all of that. But if we don't have a proper unity and connectivity and relationship between black men and black women, it can't happen. The marriage, or whatever you want to call it, that you feel good with it. But the committed relationship between the black man and the black woman is the institution through which proper values, interests, and principles are taught to young children. It is in the home that you instill. We're trying to teach black group economics to people who didn't grow up with the idea, that people grew up with a mindset of poverty, to people who grew up with a mindset of consumerism, individualism. And we're trying to teach them proper financial literacy, proper financial principles and practices. We're trying to show them how to operate as a unit and not an individual, when their entire life they were taught the wrong concept. And it's very, very difficult. Can it be done? Yes, but it's extremely difficult because you're talking about something that has been inculcated so deeply into their psyche. It's natural and instinctive to do it. They don't think about it. It's just being done. Now, when you teach the right principles early in life and you instill it in them, the reverse happens. They can be exposed to a bunch of things that's telling them to do something different, something that is not going to be conducive to their empowerment, to their enlightenment, to their upliftment. But if they've got the right thing inculcated from the beginning, it's going to withstand and push back against what's being fed them by way of music, by way of television, by way of media, by way of social media, by way of all other avenues that propaganda is being presented to them on a constant basis to direct them in a way that's not conducive to black empowerment. So the family is very important. I've been talking about the restoration of the family for a while, and me sharing that video was a chance for me to show I'm not talking about something that I'm not practicing, that I handle my business at home. Am I perfect? No. Do I always have all the answers? No. But I lead, I stand in. The one thing I could tell you is all the women in my family feel very safe in my presence because they know what I'm capable of if anything ever comes against them, first and foremost. Second of all, I'm up every morning at 4 o'clock grinding and putting in that work to try to do the best I can to be a provider. And I do better than most, black or white, but I have my times because I'm so aggressive. There are some times things get tight. We're good overall, but we got to take some time with it. Okay, got to get through this because I'm trying to do something big. And it hits for a minute, but we get through it. But she can trust me because I'm constantly there. I'm never what she doesn't know what's going on. I'm never not there when she needs me. I'm always there with the words she needs to hear to understand. And I've done it consistently enough over the time that she can trust it. I'm not telling men to just step in and let it be a one-sided thing. That's never been my thing. My thing is saying, understand your role, be prepared to live out your role. And you never know what's possible when you start loving a woman the way a woman needs to be loved, what you can do in transforming her. I'm not saying take on projects, but I'm saying it doesn't do you any harm to see a young lady or a young woman or an older woman out and not really representing themselves well and speak to her as if she were a queen, even though she's not behaving like it. I ain't saying wife her. I'm saying treat her like she should be treated. I'm telling you that has a power. As a behavioral specialist, when you start to treat somebody in a better way than they expect to be treated, it wakes them up to what they could be. But what I want to talk about is the vast majority of our women are solid. Just like you don't want to be misrepresented in the media by everybody saying black men always go out and get white women. The truth of the matter is 88% of black men are married to black women. But that's not how we're portrayed in the media. And a lot of sisters, quote that stuff they see out there. As soon as a man get a little money, he go out there. Actually, right along the same lines, about 90% of all successful black men marry black women. There are certain groups where that change, like athletes, that the numbers change a little bit. People who go from poor to wealth real fast tend to change a little bit more. The numbers are a little bit more leaning towards the narrative being put out. But overall, our men love our women and marry our women, and we don't want to be misrepresented. Well, the truth of the matter is we got a bunch of good women out there holding us down. We got a bunch of good women out there that's lifting us up, speaking into our lives, and they deserve to be respected. They deserve to be properly represented. My thing is anybody that thinks a man who loves on his wife, does everything he can to make his wife happy, builds with his wife, stands with his wife, does their work together in the community with his wife, that there's something wrong with that. then that goes to the failure of black male leadership to properly socialize as black males. Because anytime you got men who have a problem with men loving on women and holding women in high regard, that's where we're suffering. This is what I can tell you, that as a rule, any woman that I've come in contact with, I don't care where she was at what point in her life, I've dealt with strippers all the way up to attorneys, doctors, and everything else. And I can tell you, I can change how a person carries themselves by the way I treat them. At least how they carry themselves in front of me. I've done it with little girls all the way up to adult women. You can set a standard as a man by the way you handle a woman. That I can tell you. And it's your responsibility not to sit down and tear her down, not to sit down and point out her fallibilities, not to sit down and blame her for everything wrong in the black community, but to sit up and say, as long as I'm around, you're going to be respected. As long as I'm around, you're going to be safe. As long as I'm around, there's going to be a place of peace, a place of peace. Again, I'm not saying give people passes of doing stupid stuff. I'm not saying that. Sisters, you know, if you followed me since you've been seeing me on YouTube, if you followed me for the last, let's just say 7-8 years, since 2012. I go all the way back to 2010, but I really started getting amped on focusing and narrowing down how I was going to use my knowledge and my gift on this on YouTube. And from that point on, when you follow me, you know I've called sisters on their mess, but I did it respectfully and I did it out of love. It wasn't to try to blame them. It wasn't to tear them down. It wasn't to make myself feel better or put black men in a better position. It was saying that we need you to do better. We need you to be who you're capable of being. We need you to show what's on the inside of you, what they really fear about you. You need to bring that out. You can stop living at the level that they've designated for you and start living at the level that you're designed to live at. That's been my message in the many ways that I've presented it. And so when I sit here and I see black men, who I assume are black men, because they're always no picture, and then what to top it off, and that's why I don't go back and forth on these threads, because the moment you click their name, it takes you to a page where they actually have nothing to contribute. They have no work. They're presenting no work. Their whole thing on YouTube is to find places to show up and attack. See, when you don't have work, you got to find something to do. See, I have work. Nobody can tell me, nobody, and I can say that because this can show up and somebody can call me on it if I've done it. I don't show up on nobody else's work, attacking their work. Now, if I've got friends on social media and they having a discussion and I agree, I pop in and I say, I disagree, give my reasoning very respectfully, and I move out. But I'm not on anybody's stuff attacking them, attacking their work, talking about how stupid it is. Why? Because I've got my own work. I've got what I'm invested in. I have what I identify with. When you're putting in work, you don't have the time to go around with a minimalized mindset and attacking something. If you want to prove something wrong, you do it by the life you live. See, I don't have to run around calling a lie if I'm living the truth. If I want to prove what you're doing doesn't work, I do it by doing what I do and showing how it works. I don't ever have to attack you. I don't have to minimalize you. I don't have to marginalize you. I don't have to make you feel small in order for me to be who I am. See, people who don't feel that they're actually significant have to attack other people and tear them down in order to feel that way. You've got to feel like you've made yourself bigger. And I mean, the people who actually said it, it was easy for me to attack them because they couldn't put a coherent thought together. They got periods in the middle of sentences, all kind of crazy stuff that I could have easily went after them and attacked them on. But again, I showed them the respect they didn't show me because number one is I'm not going to have that type of energy rolling with me at any point of the day. See, there's a life outside of social media where I'm really putting in work. There's a life outside of social media where I'm being a husband. There's a life out of social media where I'm being a father. There's a life out of social media where I'm being a business owner of multiple businesses. There's a life outside of social media where I'm actually boots on the ground dealing with all the problems that are going on in the community. There's a life outside of social media where some of the people that you're reading about and seeing on social media that are going through things and having situations that show up on, are actually contacting me for help. So I got to show up. I don't have time for the negativity. But I just had to come out and talk about that. We've got to get to a point where our men, that's the last thing I expect. Something's going wrong with my wife. I'm gonna have to find out what she's doing. She done sent me a video. She's at her office. But anyway, I'll check it in a minute. But that's the thing that I'm talking about. I don't have time for that. I addressed it because it's a sad place that we've got men who obviously aren't alphas that are having a problem with loving black women. I mean, I love me black women, and it doesn't matter where you at. Every black woman I come across, I acknowledge. I'm not flirting with them. I ain't trying to be with them. Anybody that's followed me know I big up my wife all the time. I proudly wear my wedding ring, and I proudly flaunt it, and I proudly speak highly of her. I don't even come close. If I'm not dealing with you in a professional sense, and I don't know you as a relative or a friend from years past, we're not on the phone. I respect my marriage. Not that my wife asked me to do that. If I ain't got nothing to talk about, because I'm that embedded in work. I don't throw a whole lot of casual time out while I'm shooting the bull with anybody. My boys, I don't shoot the bull with my boys. I just aged the hell out of myself. Shoot the bull. Okay. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is you have to have a mindset of loving black women. And I don't mean romantically. I don't mean trying to get them in the bed. I mean seeing the beauty in our sisters, even when they don't see it in themselves. I'm talking about maturing as a man, where you stop judging our women and start helping our women. We got way too many. I'm telling something that I've been getting a lot, and we are dealing with right now. A lot of single mothers that are overwhelmed. Instead of judging them for not being able to work it out with the dad, or maybe whatever the situation that created her being a single parent, we need to be there. We need to be a stand-in for the dude that is obviously not there for whatever reason. Maybe he's incarcerated. Maybe he's struggling with some own inner issues that he needs to work. We need to work with him, whether he's inside, whether he's outside, whether he's addicted to something, whether he's just got a wrong mindset that doesn't drive him to want to be there for his child. Whatever the situation is, we have to be able to want to work together. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some energy. It's going to take some effort. It's definitely going to take some patience. And it's going to take a lot of introspective examination, looking inside of ourselves, because it can be easy to point the finger, because there's a lot of blame to go around, if you want to be honest. It can be easy to point the finger. But what I've learned is I can easily point the finger at what my wife is doing. Or I can look at it and say, okay, what can I do that without pointing the finger at her, I can actually inspire her to do what should be done right here. And I get the results. It's not manipulation, because I'm not trying to control her. I'm showing her the right way to do it. I show her how to handle her, even when there used to be times she get an attitude and get crazy. I never get an attitude with her. I never raise my voice at her. Even when I'm ticked, everything I do for her when I'm happy with her, I do when I'm mad. She's not allowed to pick up a bag larger than her purse. She's not allowed to open a door when I'm present. All of those things. When I go to bed, I hold her at night. And if I'm ticked off and mad, I'm holding her. That's just a way you show some things in maturity. See, I don't have to show I'm mad. Matter of fact, I don't want to be mad. I want to love. I want to get past it. And she doesn't take advantage of it. That's the crazy thing. You would think, well, shoot, I can do anything. He don't get mad. She doesn't. It's the opposite. Less conflict, more compromise, more working together. By me taking the leadership instead of pointing the blame, telling you what I know. Some of this is just the benefit of being taught by a man that was way more my senior. I was reared by my great-grandparents. My grandmother's parents reared me. So I'm talking about a man born in 1909 and a woman born in 1917. Whole different world, a whole different life. They survived it. They literally thrived in the South as blacks. So whole different experience of how, and he taught me how to love. He taught me how to be a man when it don't feel, when you don't feel like it. When you feel like saying the hell with it, how to stand in and honor your vows, honor your marriage, honor your woman, and how she will turn in and love you and show you loyalty. And that's what I get. Then there are people that sit up and say, what would you do if you turn around and tomorrow she left? I would thank God for the time I had with her and I would keep moving. Would I miss her? Yeah. But I would never turn around and say that was stupid of me. I shouldn't have did it. I lived my life the way I was supposed to. If she turns around and leave, I would thank God for the time I had with her because it has been wonderful. That's life. I don't have time to sit around going around hating people, being mad at people, attacking people. Now, will I defend my family with my life? Without even a thought. If you want to get smoke, if you want to see the old me pop out, come at my family and you'll catch the old me. With that being said, I'm gonna get out here. Look, I absolutely appreciate y'all stopping by. Yeah, Erlene, I definitely agree. I agree that I see a lot of hatred out there, and that's something we got to work on because I don't care what you say. If you're working against one another, you can't win. And we can't win singular. We can't win just as black men riding together or just as black women riding together. They've taught us that. They've got us to roll with little different things where we are trying to roll and operate against one another. We were meant to operate as a unit. There are certain things that our women possess that we don't. There are certain things we possess that they don't, and we need to be connected. And we have to allow ourselves to heal. We're talking about generations and generations of trauma passed down. I'm talking about from slavery on down. It's just injury and trauma passed down and re-injury. There hasn't been a decade in which blacks weren't catching hell in this country ever. They'll try to feed you some bull crap and tell you, but that's always been a threat of death, always been a push to fight. We have to do extra to get the same economic grip. Even when you start talking about places back in the early 1900s, like in late 1800s, early 1900s, like Rosewood in Tulsa, that was known as Black Wall Street, Slocum in Texas, Rosewood in Florida, Wilmington, Delaware, and some other enclaves. While they did some extraordinary things, they still did it against extraordinary odds. It wasn't an equal footing. They had to go against extraordinary odds to do it, which shows just how awesome we are. But it has never been a time where things were good for us in this country. And so we've had back to back to back to back decades of horrible re-injury as far as trauma is concerned, plus the injury and the trauma already being passed down generationally. And we got to heal from that. A lot of the bad behavior comes from that. We've got to stop it, and they're using people who, I love when they use people who are black but married to or dating non-blacks to throw salt in the game and to stir up confusion and place blame and talk about it, like you said, the Lonnie Love thing. I mean, yeah, they love doing that, and we bite on it though. We fall for it every time. We fall for it every time. All black men don't cheat. All successful black men don't cheat. That's not the truth. That's not the truth I know. And I can tell you that all races have men that cheat. In every socioeconomic level, you got poor white men that cheat, middle class white men that cheat, and rich white men that cheat. And you can go through every race group and do that. That is not a black phenomenon. And we need to stop allowing those type of narratives to be presented and written and passed on, because it controls how we behave with one another. Everything is about being right yourself. So the more right you are as a person, the more healed you are as a person, the more prepared you are as a person, the more embedded in your work you are as a person, the more discerning you are spiritually, so that when someone comes around you that doesn't mean you well, whether they're the same race as you or not, you know whether or not to deal with them. Some of us are so broken that we invite people who are predators into our life. We invite other broken people into our life. And now you got two broken people. Both people are more than liable to end up getting hurt. That's about healing. We got to talk about all of this. And I bring all of that out in my book, Born in Captivity. The need for healing. We got to get past what we've been hurt with. Black sister, you're not my enemy. You're my greatest asset. You are not. And I promise you, I'm yours. On that note, I'm going to get off of here. You guys have a great day. Thanks for stopping in. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to get back to you later. I'm out.